I need nothing. The words hang in the air like they shouldn't belong to me, but they do. They weren't always mine, though. There was a time when the word need felt like an open door to panic, a constant grabbing for something, validation, security, meaning that I didn't believe I had. Back then, every want disguised itself as a need, and I let it drive me like a machine powered by fear of not being enough. Now that's all changed. What I have today, I don't need. It's not that I don't appreciate it or value it, I do. But I've come to realize that my worth and my identity, my groundedness are not tied to anything outside of me. I need nothing because everything I truly need already exists within me. It's okay to want something, but you can't need it. See, those words land heavier than they look on the surface. They force you to stop and question, what do I really need? Not just in a practical sense, but at the deepest level. What do I truly, unshakably need? What you need is always tied to who you are at any given time. If it's negotiable, it's not a need. It's a want. And wants can be fun, exciting, or even deeply fulfilling, but they cannot define you. And if they're mistaken for needs, they have the power to unground you, leaving your identity tethered to something temporal and fragile. To live authentically, my biggest purpose, we must discover, align, refine, and amplify our truest self, the part of us that isn't negotiable, no matter what life throws our way. Everything else, it might be nice to have, but it's not us. For years, my mindset was a revolving door of wants parading as needs. I'd tell myself, if I can just get that one thing, I'd feel settled. Or if I could just become more like this, I'd be okay. But the thing would come and the feeling wouldn't. The cycle repeated until I finally stopped to ask, what am I chasing? I mean, really, what am I chasing? It turns out most of what I thought I needed wasn't tied to survival or thriving. It was tied to proving something, proving I was valuable, proving I was good enough, proving that I was lovable, proving that I belonged. These were not needs. They were echoes of fears dressed up as necessities. When I started peeling back those layers, I found something extremely startling. Beneath every imagined need, there was a core truth waiting to be uncovered. I didn't need anything external to validate me because my identity wasn't out there, it was in here. Who I am doesn't depend on what I have, and it never did. For most of my life, I blurred the lines between wants and needs. I wanted success and convinced myself I needed to do what was possible to prove that I was enough. I wanted acceptance and told myself I needed to feel whole. Those wants disguised themselves as convincingly as needs that I never thought to question them. But the truth is, those things were negotiable. If I lost them, I wouldn't cease to exist. Sure, it would have hurt, but my core, who I truly am, would still be intact. When I started peeling back the layers of my identity, I found something startling. Most of what I thought I needed had nothing to do with me. It was just noise. All of it. Discovering your core means asking hard questions. If I let go of this, am I still myself? Do I still feel like me? If I never get this, does it change who I am? The things that pass the test are tied to your identity, your unshakable values and truths. Everything else is just extra. Once I realized what my needs really were, love, integrity, freedom, compassion, everything started to change. Those needs weren't things I had to chase. They were things I already was. They didn't depend on external circumstances or other people. They were constraints guiding me toward decisions that felt, they were constants guiding me toward decisions that felt right, even when they were hard. They were not constraints. Aligning with your core isn't about denying your wants. It's about making sure your wants don't run the show. You can want something and still hold it loosely. You can say, I'd like this, without letting it define your peace, your worth, or your identity. When you're aligned, you stop negotiating with yourself. You don't have to bend who you are to fit into someone else's expectations or to get something you think you need. You simply live out your values and you let everything else fall into place or fall away. Here's the thing about life. It will test you. It will take your wants and strip them away. Sometimes without warning, if you've mistaken those wants for needs, it can feel like your world is collapsing. But if you've refined your core, if you know what's truly non-negotiable, those challenges become opportunities to grow. Refining yourself isn't about adding more to who you are. It's about peeling back everything that isn't true. It's asking yourself over and over again, is this really me? Or is this something I've picked up along the way? Is this something I'm just wearing over the cover of who I am? This process of refinement is not easy. It forces you to confront your fears, your doubts, and the false narratives that you build around yourself. But on the other side of it, you find clarity, you find strength, you find peace. Once you've discovered, aligned, and refined your core, something incredible happens. You start to amplify it. You stop holding back. You stop apologizing for who you are. And you live fully and freely, rooted in the knowledge that your worth isn't tied to anything external. When you amplify your true self, you do not need to prove anything. Your wants stop feeling like burdens and they start feeling like opportunities, things you can appreciate but you do not depend on. If you get them, great. If you don't, you're still grounded and you're still you. Amplifying isn't about shouting your truth from the rooftops. It's about living in a quiet, consistent way. It's about showing up in your relationships, your work, and your life with authenticity and integrity. It's about radiating the peace that comes from knowing you need nothing. Non-negotiables. What does that even mean? See, what you need isn't complicated. It's tied to who you are, your core values, your unshakable truths, the parts of you that you don't that don't shift with the wind. Everything else, no matter how beautiful or desirable it is negotiable, and that's okay. It's okay to want something. It's okay to dream, to reach, to desire. But when you confuse those wants with needs, you hand over your power. You make yourself vulnerable to fear, disappointment, and doubt, not to strength. When you live from your core, you don't have to fear losing what's negotiable. You don't have to cling to what you have or chase what you don't. You get to live lightly, openly, and fully, knowing that everything you need is right at you, in you. So here's the truth that I live by right now. I need nothing. I want some things. I'd really like to have some things, but none of them define me. And all that I currently have, I don't need. Because who I am isn't negotiable. And they really is the core of everything I need. Do you struggle with knowing yourself? See, most of us do. So if you need help along the way, reach out. I'm happy to get started walking with you. Are you listening?